Welcome to Heart in the Fight. For those who have been tracking Heart in the Fight since the very beginning, I want to thank you. You know to like this video and subscribe. And for those who are joining the journey for the very first time on this video, know that we have historically profiled fighters and broken down fights. And we will continue to do that so that you can be one of their biggest fans and you can see that the skills that they bring to the yard. Now, with that said, my name is Daniel, and we brought on our newest member, Tunde, to Heart in the Fight, and I want to welcome him to our audience.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to get in.
Awesome. Well, with that said, this show today is going to be a little different from the breakdown fights that we do. This time, we brought on a special guest, and this guest is the infamous Shinigami. And what he would do is he's going to break down his fight that he just had at the West Coast 3 event, but also talk about his thought process. What are some of the pressures that he had to deal with going into the fight, and so that he can let us know what it was like being in his shoes. With that said, Shinigami, welcome to the show.
Great. It's great to be back. Thank you for having me again. Really appreciate it. I
definitely want to take some time to really track your trajectory here. The first time we met, that came after the Streetbeef Westcoast 1 event, right? And as the way you told us the story in our first interview was that you were a late add-on, right? You didn't get the call from Martin to the day of. And so you show up at this event with your gi on and no one know who you were. You're relatively unknown. You can tell by the way that the audience are making fun of your gi right before your fight. And as soon as they tell you to fight, a few seconds later, you get a low kick, high kick, send detail to the moon, and all of a sudden, the legend of Shinigami begins. Everyone is talking about this fight. You see the shares, everyone, who's this guy? Who's this guy? And you get to 1 million views. All of a sudden, Scarface is talking about you, trying to fly you over to the VA. You make it on Sports Center. And so now, the tide has changed. Right? Your name holds weight. Everyone knows who you are. And so I'm curious now that you go from the Streetbeef Westcoast 1, go to the Streetbeef Westcoast 3 event. How was that different, right, this time around? And I'm curious to know, what was the reception like you entering to that space?
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's a complete 180 from how life was before, where no one knew who I was, and I just kind of did my thing, and it was kind of a nice, quiet life. And now I'm getting messages and follows and people asking me to give them birthday shout outs or give their friends birthday shout outs or their kids, or it's crazy. And I try to keep up with it. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but I mean, it's also kind of cool. You know, I'm trying to capitalize on it. And that was the thing too. It was wild going from hecklers in the first video, you hear them, you know, Dada Dukin and all that, to I show up at Streetbeef Westcoast 3, and as soon as I walk in, everyone's like, "Hey, Shinigami, what's up?" Da 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 da, you know. And then, you know, the guys I gave those shirts to with the autographs on them and everything, they were like, "Whoa, no way, dude, this is awesome." I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool." You know? So yeah, so going into the fight, I really trained hard. I think I overdid it a little bit too. Like the week I went back to class after the first fight, I pulled something in my right calf, and I was like, I should probably take a couple of days off, but I'll wait till next week because I'm going to visit my friend in South Carolina, and I'll probably just be around their house watching movies most of the time. Well, then our other friend decided to go, so it went from what I expected to be mostly lounging around the house, just chilling, watching movies like we used to do when she lived here, to we're going all over the place, hiking, everything, and I was stuck in the back seat too a lot, and I'm too tall for that. So that just aggravated it worse. And then I went back to training because I was like, I gotta get on this. I gotta lose some weight for the next one because I know it's gonna be a harder. You know, I know it's not just gonna be as easy. Guys are gonna be coming after me. They're hungry for it. They want to be the guy who beats this supposed legend that I still don't feel like I'm a legend. You know, I get a lot of praise I don't feel like I deserve yet. So I worked hard. I was doing twice a day, 3 days a week, and then the other 3 days I was still doing at least once a day. Cardio, stuff like that, strength and conditioning at like Planet Fitness. The rest of the time I was like doing, kickboxing training and boxing training in the morning, and then jiu-jitsu at night. And then, I found out who my opponent was supposed to be. So I kind of got ready for that, a guy who was going to try to like punch at me with some decent boxing, but not as much reach or experience, and then he had to back out. He didn't want to, but he had to. So he had to back out, and then there was like 2 weeks left, and I find out I'm fighting another guy, and he said he was a wrestler. So then I started training for that. And I'm not really too worried about, like I said before, I don't really necessarily usually worry about what the other guy knows. But it kind of can help formulate a little bit of a game plan. But usually I try to just go in and rely on what I know. And there was a little pressure. I was trying to win in the first round. Actually, that was my goal for Streetbeefs, was to get all my wins in the first round.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure right there.
You know what? I figured I definitely do have more experience than my opponent had. It was just he's got some grit, man. That dude is tough. And I don't know. We'll probably get into it more when you watch the fight, but I definitely rocked him a few times. He got me good too in that third round with that spinning elbow. But this is still a learning curve for me, because this is on my new foray into full contact. And the last time I haven't been to Vegas for any kind of competition in like 9 years. So I was in my 20s the last time, and I drove out there the night before, and I competed, and I was just fine. So I was like, okay, I'll get my rental car for the day before. I'll, stay the night before. I should be all right. Friday didn't go according to plan. I ended up leaving the house late to get the car. Then I had to come back and pick up some of the stuff that I had packed on the way out, which I had to drive out of my house to go to Vegas from Lancaster anyway. But they were almost 2 hours late getting my rental car. So we got there, and they didn't have enough cars for everybody. There was like 5 people ahead of us that were already waiting. So I went to the chiropractor while Rachel waited to pick up the car, and then went back. And then her sister lives in Vegas, so my daughter wanted to go visit her aunt because she's been having some health problems. So I said, okay, cool, I'll drop them off. It's not that, as long as they don't live too far away. Well, I was staying at the Stratosphere, and they said they could see the Stratosphere from their house. It was a 20-minute drive from the Stratosphere. By the time I got to Vegas, it was already 8 o'clock, because we didn't even leave here till 2 o'clock. I had to stop at Costco. We got a couple of things. I had to stop at Dollar General, got a couple things. And then I had to wait for Annabelle to pack at the last second, because she originally changed her mind about going because she wasn't feeling good the day before. And then she changed her mind again, literally at the last second, which was fine. Like I said, I figured it wasn't going to be an issue, but I drove because I have this thing. It's just this instinctual thing of, if I'm in a hurry to get somewhere, I got to be in control of everything, so that I, especially if a lot of other things are going on that already set me behind and beyond my control. I should have let Rachel drive. That's really what was the biggest factor. Because we were actually supposed to fight pretty early, and I actually found out why my opponent wanted to fight early too. Because he was there on turnaround. He drove like 8 hours or something from Citrus Heights to Vegas, and then after his fight, he booked it. I wanted to fight early too, so I'd be a little fresher and everything.
What order did y'all fight in?
We were like 7th or 8th. We were supposed to be like 4th or 5th. I had actually talked to Tank about it, and then they got on the 4th or 5th fight, and then I asked them if we could be like the next fight or the next fight after that. So I think we actually fought like 9th or 10th. So like the last round of the fight before ours, I started to feel a little stiffness in my left shoulder. I'm like, okay, that's definitely from driving. You can see it in the video too, which we're going to get into. But I start out with that bounce, that signature karate bounce, so I can move around good and everything. And then after a few seconds, that first exchange or whatever, the fatigue hit my legs. But that's basically what ended up happening. Was after that, I was fighting my body to make it move as much as I was fighting my opponent. My legs just did not want to do anything. I should have been able to capitalize on something or finish something or do something, and my legs just refused. Like round 2, when I had him in side control, I wanted to go for that straight arm bar. I tried. I went to go push his arm down and move my leg, but my leg would not move. Like I tried to push his arm down. You can kind of see me go for it, but between him being strong and keeping his arm up and my legs refusing to move, I couldn't get it, So that's my takeaways from that and my lessons I learned about pre-fight stuff. And again, I don't want to take anything away from my opponent at all. He was a tough guy. He took a lot of damage and kept trucking forward shots that, you know, would have put a lot of other people down or made him want to quit. So I think the rematch is going to be interesting, for sure.
So it's already confirmed it's going to be a rematch.
Yeah, it's confirmed it's going to be a rematch. Streetbeefs lets you contest decisions if you don't agree with them, and I was thinking about it at first because I mean, it wasn't just you that thought I got 2-1. I knew I got 2-1. A lot of other people who know how to score MMA have called it 2-1. But since Streetbeefs doesn't have a separate category for draws and that puts a win on both men's record, I decided I wasn't going to contest it simply because the more I thought about it, the more it seemed petty to try to take away that one win he's now got on his record from the draw when it was a close fight. And, you know, all things considered, he gave me a run for my money that I wasn't expecting.
Right. Word. I mean, shout out to him, right?
Oh yes, he's actually a really cool guy. It's actually kind of ironic that was his first fight in Streetbeefs because according to him, watching my first 2 fights is what motivated him to get off the couch and sign up for Streetbeefs. So, you know, for him to come in and fight me like was big for him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. It reminds me of Israel Adesanya fighting Anderson Silva. He said he inspired him to fight, right? To fight MMA. And so I would imagine like being in the ring with the person who inspired you to fight in the first place.
Yeah, and I actually gave him props for it. I'm going to do it again here. So because the last time was in private conversation, but some things I notice a lot of times in like professional fights when someone fights their hero, especially in like the UFC or something, they're a little, you know, hesitant in the first round or two until something really lands on either of them, and then it's just like game on. And if you're fighting the guy who inspired you and it's your hero, you got to give it everything, you know, from the jump. And that's what this guy did, you know. And I gave him mad props for that because a lot of people don't have that mentality of, well, I'm taking this serious, even though he's the guy who inspired me and I've seen what he can do. I'm going to go in there and give it everything I got and try to put him away. Because that's what he was doing with those overhand rights were coming hard.
Right off the bat, he came out hot. So
came out swinging.
Yeah, props to Streetbender. Yeah, no, he definitely put up a fight.
Shinigami fighting out of Lancaster, California, representing the Lab BJJ. Shout out to my daughter Annabelle who couldn't make it this time. Got Rachel here instead. Shout out to my 3 best friends, Brandy, Chris, and Dalton. Special shout out to my friend Evelyn. Happy early birthday. I believe it's the 29th. Let's get another one. Shout out to my sponsor, Confidence Dojo, Julio Arana Jr.'s Confidence Dojo, home of free martial arts classes for special needs and people with disabilities. Shout out to Challenger Tap House, and shout out to Forgotten Not Tattoo.
Everyone kept talking about the shout outs, man.
Yeah, okay, so the issue with the shout outs was I originally just was going to shout out my friends. But then I got some sponsors, and I had to shout them out too, especially because there was an issue with one of their logos. I couldn't get them put on my shorts in time, Challenger Tap House. So I had to mention everybody just to be, you know, sure everyone knew because, you know, I got a little help from them towards my travel expenses, and then I got a little help from Nasty Native to cover the rest. You know, dude's a really cool guy. That's where all the shout outs came from. Originally it was just going to be my, you know, my daughter, my friends, and that, you know, my friend's birthday, and that was going to be it.
No, I hear that.
Won't be any more shout outs that long in the future, probably.
Yeah, I think one of the jokes I saw was, oh, I have the uncut version of his shout outs, and he shouts us all out.
Oh yeah, I do. I see some good ones. Shout out to the mailman. Shout out to the garbage man, the Amazon man, and everybody not in attendance. Yeah, I've seen some good. See, I like to go to the comment sections to read the jokes. I mean, there's still some good ones in with all the negative comments and everything else. You know.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Fortunately, I've been around the internet long enough to know that negative comments are just people being, you know, haters on the internet. It's just the internet's the internet. You know, you can't take negativity on the internet too personally, especially from strangers.
But that was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you did your infamous shout out. And so what is the game plan coming in here, right? You see your opponent across from you. What is the game plan?
Well, like I said, he told me he was a wrestler. I was expecting a shot early. Since obviously my stand-up is dangerous, at least under normal circumstances. So I wasn't expecting a stand-up fight with the guy. I think he might have been thinking about not letting me get on top of him, which is why he didn't really want a ground war. I think he also said something about he was planning for 5 rounds. There was confusion about the rounds, and how many rounds, and how long
that
the
up for us.
be. So we got that all sorted out, and the next round's going to be definitely all the title matches are 5 rounds. So now I know that. Now it's clear for everybody, that's what it is.
So y'all didn't negotiate that on the way in? Like
I misunderstood because I thought it was just longer rounds, not extra rounds.
Okay, were they going to go a 4th round?
I don't know. Martin piped in too and said it was only 3 rounds, and then that turned out to be confusing with another fight that was agreed to 3 rounds instead of 5. I think that's another good reason for a draw too,
Yeah. It seems like he comes out on fire, right? He sprints across. What are your thoughts?
I was expecting an early shot, but when he stopped and didn't try to shoot and then threw that overhand, I was like, okay, this is different. This is going to be a different kind of fight than I expected. So this guy's trying to, obviously he's not that technical with his hands, but he was throwing them Roy Nelson overhands. And I've been around enough and seen enough to know that if one of those lands, you're probably going out. So from that point, my goal was to, I was trying to set up the head kick as best I could. He knew it was coming. And then, between the fatigue, my timing was off, and the sand being different, the ground being different than the last time, it wasn't as like smooth. So it was more of a really slow floor. That changed the whole pattern of the fight for me. And I just was trying to make sure that I hung in there and gave it everything I could and everything I had for the way my body was acting. So, and then at that point, I'm like, okay, he said he's a wrestler, but he's throwing all these striking moves, and, I got to control this clench work here. I think that's my best bet since he's throwing those crazy overhands. I don't want to get hit by any of that.
Yeah.
So that was the strategy from there was that. And then it was just like, okay, I'm going to just clinch him up and try to score points until I can set up something to finish him off with. People thought I was gassed. I didn't actually gas till the 3rd round. It's just the fatigue, was making me slow and everything. And, when you're fighting your body as much as your opponent, eventually that catches up to you. So right there, one of those punches hit me in the back of the head. The first one hit like on the, just behind the ear, like a legal spot. The second one he threw because of the way I was moving, because he kind of stuffed my sidekick. Hit me in the back of the head. I thought the ref saw it and was going to call it. I'm used to refs calling fouls like immediately from karate tournaments. Another lesson learned, full contact. They might not see it. They might not call it right away. So you got to defend yourself at all times for real.
Yeah, that was certainly one of the controversies that people brought up. They said they thought you were dazed. That's why you were heading straight to the fence and you weren't protecting yourself.
Well, no, if you actually look, after he hits me in the back of the head and I kind of try to get a little distance and thought, like I said, I thought the ref was going to call it. I tried to move away at least. He shoves me into the fence, so he shoved me into the fence. I was expecting the ref to call the back of the head foul still. And then I kind of felt like I was in a little bit of a pickle because I didn't want to just turn around and I couldn't see where he was. So I didn't know what to throw to counter it. So I was waiting until he threw something so I could gauge where he was. And then the ref finally called the fouls, gave him a warning.
Yeah, because I think he thought that you got a standing A count, because there was because when the ref actually goes to him and says you did a foul, he was confused. He seemed like he was upset and he was trying to challenge that and said no, like I hurt him, and so
yeah, I think he thought he hurt me. He actually kind of tried to pull the kick when he saw that I wasn't turning around. That one didn't really land that good. I don't know I haven't really paid attention to how he moved his hips into it. I don't know if it's just that he's flexible but doesn't know how to actually put power on the kicks or what, because his leg kicks were kind of solid. So I don't know if he knows how to put power on a high kick or not, per se, but he definitely didn't drive that in there like he could have. Whether he knows how to or not, I don't know. But like I said, that's what that was. I think he thought maybe he hurt me, because he felt bad about hitting those foul shots. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't trying to hit fouls. He just, it was what it was. He thought I was going to turn around. That's why he threw that kick. He thought I was going to turn around and try to time it so it would smack me in the face right when I turned around, which is good IQ, good fight IQ. Got to hand it to him for that one. That was some anime level, like Dragon Ball Z-esque strategy right there.
He tries to pick you up. He doesn't do it. You give him the Matumbo finger, and then you score.
Oh, that's it. That's the punch I was talking about, that reverse punch, man. And you can tell, too, that he was dazed because he wobbled when he went back.
And then I see that you pin him against the gate. And so it looks like the plan here is just to pin him.
Yeah.
Take out his legs.
Yeah, like I said, I was trying to keep as much control. Like right there, I don't know if the judges could see it, but I'm scoring a lot of hammer fists there.
Yep, I see.
They're not high damage, but since I'm used to doing MMA tournaments that are either win by decision or win by submission, I was trying to score as many points as possible, just in case, because it was obvious that this was not going to be a quick fight after the first half of the first round. I was like, this is going to be hard to win under normal circumstances.
And then you get the trip, and you end up right on top of him.
Yep. And this is right here. See you see how I tried to push his hand down there?
Yep.
I was going to try to go for that, but I couldn't get his hand, in between my legs. Then, my leg didn't want to go over his hand either to help. So I was like, man, he hasn't been intelligently defending himself. I'm going to get the TKO win right here. So I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Is that why you looked at the referee?
Yeah. I'm like, stop this. Like, why aren't you stopping it? Because it's supposed to be like 16 unanswered, unintelligently defended punches, and it's TKO. And even standing up, I was hitting him with stuff, and he wasn't really doing it because he was trying to save his stuff for the last 2 rounds that he thought were 5 rounds. So he was trying to save himself as much as he possible for the 4th and 5th round.
There's a funny comment that I remember reading that said the reason why Streetbender lasted was because your headband, every time your headband was knocked off your head, that was 90% of your power.
Oh, how about the one where it was Shinigami's headband came back to its master like a boomerang?
And so that makes it begs the question, why come out the third?
Because it wasn't staying on. And I wasn't going to sit there and try to adjust it while dude's throwing them Roy Nelson overhands at me.
All right. And so now we're in the 3rd round. Is there any specific strategy that you're coming in with? Because it seems like the first round you said, I'm just going to get him out. The 2nd round, it seemed like, all right, I'm just going to punish him until the ref can stop this. Now we're in the 3rd round. What are your thoughts?
3rd round was I gotta end this. I gotta get him with something big. I either got to get him with something big or get him back on the ground and away from the cage and submit him before the time runs out. Then that's the elbow right there.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about this one too, is that he clips you with an elbow.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments about the first couple spinning things he threw. He didn't land those. It just looks like he did because we were so close and I ducked under him. Okay. He didn't actually. That one landed clean. I didn't expect an elbow because he was throwing spinning back fists before. So I didn't think he was going to, everything he threw was kind of these long extended punches. So I didn't expect a short elbow like that.
Did it daze you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. That's why I covered up for a second. Cause I'm like, okay, if I don't cover up and avoid, that's why I kind of just covered up and tried to Mike Tyson it a little bit Because everything spun for a second. Now, I've never really been knocked out. I've been dazed like that a couple times in training, so I knew what was about to happen if I didn't cover up and if I didn't get, a grip on them. That's why I covered up and tried to protect my face and everything, so I didn't get anything that was going to stop it for blood, like a busted nose or anything. And then, give it a couple of seconds so my brain could reboot a little bit. And then I, as you could see, after a short, exchange, because I was still moving, I didn't want to give him a TKO, so I was still moving. And as soon as I had an opportunity to come up and grab him, obviously that's what I did.
You can see it here, right? That because of your ability to clinch, to get a hold of the clinch, you were able to stop his offense, because he was really trying to take you out right there.
Oh yeah. This is where I was actually gassed, especially like right here. I'm trying to, breathe, and I felt him go over, and I thought I had it. So for some stupid reason, I stopped committing to it because I thought it was over. I thought I was going to have him and be in mount in like a half a second, and that's not what happened. So right here, and this is another one of those things, I don't really know if the judges could see it. I was hitting him in the head the whole time. I was throwing like back knuckle, inverted hammer fist type things to his head. And I had his arms controlled the whole time. I had his arms pinned with my other hand. So my left hand's pinning his arms.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah.
And, you can see it there a little bit. And then I stopped to throw a knee because I was going to try to hip escape out and like get deep half or something. But I felt what he was about to do. And it was, I didn't want any of that ground and pound in my face.
And so here you guys embrace, right? I mean, it was a really good fight, so it makes sense. And so at this point, do you think you have the fight scored?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially that second round. Like I said, the first two rounds, I felt like I definitely had those. The first round, I can see where some people might have thought it was close, but if you really pay attention to the first round, I was controlling the fight with the standing clinch for most of it, and I threw him almost every single strike that landed. Second round, obviously, I run, especially the last part of that for sure. That was like 60, 70 unanswered clean landing strikes for the most part. In that 35 seconds, high volume, not necessarily a lot of bombs. I mean, some of the hammer fists at the end were kind of hard. You could kind of see his head bouncing a little bit, but I was in Jen's Pulver's live stream on Twitch the other night. And even he scored it 2-1, and most of the people in the chat scored it 2-1 for me. So obviously, and I know this is same thing as what my game plan was for this one, but I think now that I have a feel for him, and I know he's got a bit of a feel for some of the things I can do. I still have a whole toolbox I haven't a box of tools that I haven't pulled everything out of yet. So I think next fight I have the answer for Streetbender. Hopefully I do. Hopefully it works. Yeah. So that's what that was. That's how everything was, and that's why it looked way different. I definitely was dog tired in the third round, but I mean, I was not going to let myself give up. I just wish that I could have put on a better performance and been myself out there, because it was my first title defense, and that's just kind of a sloppy looking Shinigami out there, not really what everybody expected to see, not what I expected to do, and not what I really should look like. But it is what it is, and for everything considered, I really can't dog on myself too much, because like I said, I refused to give up. I refused to let my fatigue really stop me or let him stop me.
Well, I mean, considering all the challenges that you had going into the fight, I mean, you were able to overcome them. Because I would imagine a lot of fighters, they would have just allowed those things to just hinder their offense, hinder their fighting potential or possibility. And so, I mean, congrats to you for even, I thought you won, but congrats that it was even a draw. You still get a win in the end. You still get to retain your belt. And you're still the heavyweight champion of Streetbeefs West Coast.
Yep, and I'm hoping to stay that way. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I stay that way for as long as possible.
All right. Well, we are confident that you will. And so I certainly want to, if you can, tell people. I know that you just got 1,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, so shout that out and shout out how people can reach out to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Shinigami the Reaper MMA. I just hit, actually, as of today, I'm now at 1,100 subscribers.
Hey.
So now the next step is I need 4,000 viewing hours. So if you guys could all go watch my videos as much as possible. I post a new video every week. Sometimes I do a bonus video depending on what's going on with, certain things or, with just life in general. I also have a second channel, Lord Demonius, the Undead Pyro. That's not martial arts related at all, but I feel like it's pretty entertaining. I think it's filling in a gap that YouTube doesn't have. So there's those. You can reach me on Instagram, Shinigami the Reaper MMA, Shinigami _ Reaper MMA on Instagram, and Shinigami. You can look me up with that, or at the Reaper MMA on Twitter. So that's pretty much all my social media right there. I'm gonna be making a Facebook fan page pretty soon once I figure out how to do it, because they've changed their website layout since the last time I did like a business page. But yeah, that's all that right there. And I just did a giveaway actually with that 1,000 subscriber special. So I'm still waiting to hear from 2 of the people that the second and third place winners. So if you guys see this video, go to my channel, hit me up, leave a comment so I can know how to get to you.
Word. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time, and also appreciate you giving us some insight of your fight, what was going on, you recapping it, giving us some kind of techniques that you were trying to employ, because we know that the next fight is going to be, I think, that much more spectacular, right? And so we can anticipate more things in the future, and you do continue to reign as the heavyweight king of the West Coast.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, brother. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. You learned a little bit from Shinigami as he told you what he was doing, some of the mindset that he went into the fight with. If you like what you saw, like what you heard, please subscribe to the channel. We have a merchandise store where you can buy Shinigami t-shirts. So you can buy the Heart in the Fight Shinigami, but you can also purchase his stuff. So we'll also leave a link to his store as well. And you can always donate to our platform so we continue to grow with more content. On our Patreon page, I'll leave a link at the bottom. And as always, until we see you next, make sure you dig deep and fight for everything you want in your life.